One thing I have found to be very important when you are incorporating blended learning techniques in your classroom is to make sure that you use feedback carefully and deliberately. If you're going to have students submit things online, then you need to be prepared to put in all the time and effort required to leave feedback on those assignments. I use Canvas in my classroom, and luckily it has a few really easy ways to leave feedback on assignments. And I wanted to just show you some of those and talk about the benefits. So I'll give them an assignment like this, a video to watch, some reading to do, and then usually there's a question at the end. So here I'm asking them to tell me after their reading if they think viruses are alive or not. So the students would do this activity and submit a short response to me. Now, as the teacher, in the speed grader, it's really easy to leave feedback. Where it says the student does not have a submission for this assignment, that's where you would see the student's name and whatever they write as their response. Now, for me on this side, this shows the teacher end. For this particular assignment, I can use a rubric. I give them points based on their argument, the quality of their response, and then the content. I can leave specific comments in each of these boxes for the students that they can then see why I gave them 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 on each of these different aspects. If I don't want to use the rubric, I can also just type in a score, and I can also leave comments here. These comments will show up on the student's end. It'll show the assignment and it'll show my comments. Now, the nice thing is the students can actually comment back on these assignments and it will show up on my end. Now, another type of assignment I like to leave feedback on. I particularly use Kami in my classroom. I think it can be really nice to replace worksheets. So students would go through, in this particular example, they'd watch a video and they'd answer these questions. But the speed grader on this is really interesting and probably one of my favorite ways to leave feedback for students on Canvas. So the student typed their name, they answered some of the questions, but you'll see most of them they left blank. The thing I love about this tool is I can actually, on the Kami sheet, under the questions, I can actually physically alter the assignment so that they can see it. And I have all these tools, which is really handy. Now you'll see the speed grader in Canvas looks the same on this side. I can give the points out of 20, and I can leave a comment for the students. One other way that you can leave feedback on Canvas, which I really like, is on a quiz. They would go through and answer all these questions, including these ones that have text boxes. When they submit and you open SpeedGrader for that particular assignment, it allows you to leave a comment on every single question. And that allows you to really guide students, especially in a mastery check or a test where they're not quite on the right track. You can leave them really good feedback that helps them get to where they need to be. Now, I learned last year that those feedback comments can be really important for students. I had a boy who was really quiet and he wasn't very outspoken, but I had gone through and graded the work he had submitted on Canvas, and I left him a comment commenting on how good he did. And it was really cool to hear back from his parents a few weeks later to know that he had showed them the comment I left. It had actually made him excited to know that I actually got on and read his assignment. And I think in a time where I could not be face to face with them, I could still interact in meaningful ways so that the students knew how much I cared about them and their learning. This is why I think leaving feedback is really important. You can also use Canvas Gradebook to leave really good feedback. My favorite thing to do here is to actually click on an assignment and message students who, and it allows you to pick what category. They can be who hasn't submitted, who hasn't been graded, or kids who score less than a certain score. This would allow me to be able to put in a score and see exactly who hasn't passed the mastery check, and I can send them a message through Canvas. This is really helpful to make sure that students actually learn what they're supposed to and complete the work that I require so that they can be successful in my class.